At sunrise, the golden light bathed the sprawling imperial city, its countless rooftops glimmering beneath the dawn. Inside the grand palace, servants moved gracefully as they prepared for a momentous celebration. A delicate stream of wine poured into an intricately carved goblet, the start of a grand feast in honor of one man. "Grand Tutor, please drink," a beautiful attendant said softly, kneeling before an elderly man draped in luxurious robes of black and crimson. His long silver hair and braided beard reflected wisdom and power, while two elegant women stood beside him, smiling respectfully. As music filled the hall, the air buzzed with reverence. "Happy birthday, Grand Tutor," the crowd roared in unison, their voices echoing through the great chamber. Rows upon rows of officials bowed deeply, their black robes forming a sea of devotion before the throne. The Grand Tutor lifted his cup, surveying the hall with calm pride. "In the past 50 years, he thought, I have risen from a man of no standing to one of the highest ranks in the empire." His sharp gaze swept over the assembled dignitaries, a faint smile touching his lips. "My power now overshadows the world itself," he mused. "The tale of my rise could fill countless volumes." His thoughts drifted back to his humble beginnings, a memory of simpler days. Once, he had been nothing more than a struggling scholar named Li Fan, wandering through a quiet village with little more than determination and dreams. Now, seated in splendor, surrounded by luxury and respect, he raised his goblet once more. "A life like this," he thought, the corners of his mouth curling in satisfaction. The hall shimmered in the warm glow of celebration as he took a slow sip, his eyes half closing in contentment. "What more," he murmured to himself, "could one possibly ask for?" As music and laughter filled the grand hall, dancers in silk robes swayed gracefully, their movements mesmerizing the guests. The air was thick with the scent of wine and incense as attendants continued serving delicacies. Suddenly, one of the entertainers froze, her gaze drawn to the window. "Grand Tutor," someone cried out. Outside, a brilliant streak of fire tore across the sky. The guests gasped, rushing to the balconies. "Falling fire from the heavens. It's a divine sign, an auspicious omen," one of the ministers exclaimed. "It looks like it's descending toward the Grand Tutor's manor." The old man rose slowly, his expression grave yet curious. The women beside him stepped back as he walked toward the courtyard, his robes trailing behind. Looking up, he whispered, "This is." High above, the night sky burned with swirling flames of gold and violet. The firestorm twisted into a vortex, rumbling with power. Then, a thunderous voice echoed through the clouds, "You push me too far." The Grand Tutor's eyes widened as two figures clashed amidst the heavens, their energy shaking the world below. Cultivators," he gasped, disbelief flooding his face. The hall erupted in chaos as the guests fell to their knees, bowing toward the celestial battle. "An immortal master! An immortal has appeared," they cried. But the Grand Tutor could not look away. "How can this be?" he murmured, his mind reeling as the truth dawned on him. In the heavens, one figure stood radiant in white, his sword gleaming with divine light. His voice carried across the sky like thunder. "Quan Ning! Did you truly think I'd let you escape after stealing the cultivation method? This ends only when one of us dies." The other, his aura dark and fierce, laughed bitterly. "A joke. You think I ran because I'm afraid? It's because I lack a core formation method. I've been trapped at the foundation establishment stage for 100 years. As the two immortals' power clashed once more, the heavens trembled, while below, the Grand Tutor, a man once proud of his worldly achievements, could only stare in awe. The legends he dismissed as myth were real, unfolding before his very eyes. Blazing with golden light, the furious cultivator roared, his voice shaking the heavens. "My lifespan nears its end. My body is turning to dust, and now that I've finally obtained this core formation method, how could I possibly hand it over to anyone else?" Facing him, the man in white kohong stood calm, his sword glowing with violet energy. His eyes were filled with both sorrow and resolve. "That's right," he said coldly. "The Golden Core Tao is a path only a few can walk. Though countless methods exist, most cultivators remain trapped at the foundation establishment stage forever." He took a step forward, his spiritual pressure surging. "Since fate has brought us to this point, with the path to longevity before me, how could I ever let you escape?" The man wrapped in flames laughed bitterly, his voice echoing across the sky. "Ha ha ha, how laughable. We were brothers for 100 years, yet now we raise our blades against each other, all for a slim chance at survival." His burning aura intensified, golden fire swirling violently around him. "I know I can't defeat you," he said grimly, his tone heavy with resignation. "It seems I won't be escaping my fate today." However, he raised his hands, channeling the energy of the heavens itself. There are countless mortals below. I wonder, Kohong, can you withstand the full concentration of the immortal mortal miasma? Golden flames erupted into the form of a massive celestial dragon, its body twisting through the clouds as it dove toward the earth. Kohong's eyes hardened. Ko Ning! What are you doing? He shouted, raising his sword high. Violet energy exploded from the blade, coiling around it like a storm. If I can't survive this battle, Ko Ning cried, riding the golden dragon's head, then at least I'll take you with me. If I can harness the power of the miasma, perhaps I still have a chance to live. Their forces collided, gold and violet light spiraling together in a cataclysmic explosion. The heavens split, the air trembled, and the city below was bathed in blinding light. From the ground, the Grand Tutor could only stare upward, his heart pounding in disbelief as two immortal beings waged war above his mortal world. The once prosperous city of Xianjing had become a nightmare of blood and fire. The streets that had echoed with laughter and music now burned under a crimson sky. Bodies lay scattered amidst the ruins, the air thick with smoke and the stench of death. Coughing through the haze, the Grand Tutor staggered to his feet, his fine robes torn and soaked in soot. Around him, everything he had built, every monument of power, every trace of civilization, was reduced to ash. Prosperous and lively Xianjing, he thought bitterly, has become a hell of blood and flames. He looked around, eyes widening in horror. After surviving such a catastrophe, he murmured, not even 1 in 100 of my people remains. As far as the eye could see, there were only mangled bodies and collapsed buildings. All of this, every bit of it, he whispered, clutching his chest, is because of those two cultivators who suddenly appeared. His voice cracked into a hollow laugh, echoing through the ruins. How can there still be cultivators in this world? Memories surged within him. From the moment he had risen to power, he had scoured the world in search of the path to immortality. As the imperial tutor, he had the authority to command expeditions across the lands, north to the frozen seas, south to the great oceans, east to the abyssal ruins, and west to the endless mountains. Yet nowhere did he find a trace of the so-called immortal path. In all of Great Xian, he realized, not a single shred of proof that immortals existed. His voice trembled. I had already given up. I had already grown old. But now he had seen them. Two beings wreathed in divine power, their battle enough to tear the heavens apart. He stared into the fading sky, his mind unraveling. Were those two immortals? And where did they come from? Lightning flickered around his trembling form. Rage, envy, and despair swirled within him, coiling into something darker. Fate is toying with me, he cried, his aura erupting in madness. When the true becomes false, the false becomes true. He thrust his hands together, ancient runes igniting around him as energy pulsed violently through the air. Huanjin, he roared, summoning the forbidden art that bent reality itself. The ground quaked. Light burst forth from his spell, engulfing the ruins in a blinding storm of power, the world trembling as the Grand Tutor reached beyond the mortal realm, determined to seize the truth of the immortals for himself. The Grand Tutor stood amidst the swirling lights of his spell, his robes rippling with power as the ancient artifact in his chest glowed like a miniature sun. Charging complete, a mechanical voice echoed through the void. Virtualize current scenario and return to the initial anchor point. He raised his hand, eyes sharp with determination. Huanjin, he murmured, that's the name of my unique treasure. Its power is to turn truth into illusion and illusion into reality. The artifact pulsed brighter, filling the ruined world with threads of blue light. It transforms everything I've experienced into a simulated, illusory reality, he continued. And it allows me to return to the exact moment I first transmigrated into this world. The light engulfed him, and his vision blurred until it opened once more onto a familiar past. In truth, he reflected, this is already my second life since transmigrating into the great Xian nation. In his first life, he had been nothing extraordinary, just a man with dreams too large for his reach. He had aspired to become a great scholar, but after countless failures, he abandoned his ambitions and settled down. He married, raised a family, and grew old as a humble merchant, living a peaceful but unremarkable life. It wasn't until my deathbed, he recalled, that I awakened Huanjin, the treasure that allowed me to start anew. That awakening became the foundation of my rise in this second life. Huanjin's power had granted him the ability to restart existence itself, to go back, rebuild, and live with the knowledge of the future. And through that, he rose without limit. But now, gazing over the burning remains of Xianjing, the Grand Tutor sighed. I can't restart yet, he muttered. There are still things I must do in this life. Relay my command, he ordered a nearby officer. Send the garrison station outside the city to take control of Xianjing. Begin reconstruction and maintain order in the aftermath. Yes, Grand Tutor, the soldier replied, bowing deeply before rushing out. Under his direction, the garrison soon restored stability to the ravaged city. They cleared rubble, rebuilt homes, and tended to the survivors. Yet beneath this facade of duty, the Grand Tutor had another mission. He quietly dispatched scouts to uncover the whereabouts of the two cultivators whose battle had caused such devastation. Months passed. Xianjing slowly began to recover. Streets that once burned with fire now buzzed with quiet life again. One day, a messenger knelt before him. Grand Tutor, there has been no sign of the two cultivators. The old man closed his eyes, disappointment flickering behind them. I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up, he thought. Perhaps they were never of this world to begin with. He exhaled deeply. In that case, I have nothing left to cling to in this life. Raising his hand once more, he whispered, Huanjin. The glowing sigils flared to life around him, light swallowing his form as the cycle prepared to begin again. This time, he would return to the beginning armed with everything he had learned, determined to uncover the truth of the immortals who had shattered his world. The Grand Tutor's trembling hands pressed against the glowing orb at his chest as blinding streams of energy burst outward. His voice echoed through the void, steady, resolute. Huanjin. A surge of blue light flooded the chamber, wrapping his entire body in radiant glyphs that spun like stars. Virtualize current scenario and return to the initial anchor point, the system voice intoned, its tone emotionless and divine. Yes, the Grand Tutor whispered. Begin. The world around him dissolved into cascading fragments of light. His form disintegrated, layer by layer, until only his soul remained suspended within a sea of shifting memories. Visions of his past lives flickered before him, his rise to power, the burning of Xianjing, and the celestial duel of the immortals. All of it replayed, then shattered like glass. When the light cleared, a young man stood where the old Grand Tutor once had dressed in simple robes, his eyes filled with both wonder and purpose. The burden of lifetimes weighed behind his calm expression. He raised his hand, energy swirling around his palm as memories from his past self aligned within him. Dao Xuanji. Ko Hong, he murmured, naming the two immortals who had changed everything. In 50 years, I will be waiting for you in Xianjing. The system responded instantly. Huanjin acknowledged. Restarting life sequence. Returning to the first year of the anchor point. Understood, he replied as his body began to dissolve into streams of azure light. He fell backward through a spiraling vortex, the glow of time itself pulling him into rebirth. His consciousness drifted between realities, the weight of his former glory and failures slipping away like sand through fingers. Riches and honor are but fleeting clouds to me now, he thought, his voice calm and distant. This time, I will walk the true path, the path of the immortals. The vortex swallowed him whole. Light exploded outward. And just like that, the Grand Tutor, once the most powerful mortal of the great Xian nation, began his life anew. The story kicks off with our main guy, Li Fan, waking up in what's basically a cosmic loading screen, glowing lights, mysterious system voice, the whole deal. The system tells him he's starting from anchor year 1. Translation? He's getting dropped back to square one with nothing but memories and regrets. He opens his eyes in a tiny village, gets nearly drowned in herbal water by his aunt, classic starter village tutorial level stuff. You ever respawn in life and immediately get bullied by your relatives? Yeah, same vibe. But Li Fan's not your average villager. Dude passed the provincial exam in one try, topped the charts, and instantly became the family's he's gonna make us rich nephew. By anchor year 2, he's already building contacts, pulling strings in the capital, and landing himself a government post like it's a side quest reward. Then comes the glow-up, he literally invents explosives and matchlock rifles. While we were struggling with school projects, my man was reinventing gunpowder. Anchor year 5, a rebellion breaks out. Li Fan leads troops, saves Prince Langya, and earns a life-saving thanks bro from royalty. A year later? Promoted again and marries the daughter of the Vice Minister of Rights, basically the ancient version of marrying a senator's kid. Anchor year 7, wife gives birth to a son. Family complete. Life looking smooth. But peace never lasts in this universe. By year 15, the emperor dies, the prince becomes king, and Li Fan's back on the battlefield cleaning up rebellions like it's overtime duty. He wins again, gets promoted again. At this point, his resume's thicker than a cultivation manual. Anchor year 20, Li Fan's at the top of the empire, but drama hits. His wife, the empress, is framed and thrown into the cold palace. He secretly investigates, clears her name, but before things settle, the emperor gets assassinated. Bro can conquer nations but can't catch a break. By anchor year 25, Li Fan's son takes the throne, and the world once again bows to the Grand Tutor, not the Emperor. Decades fly by. The empire thrives, Li Fan grows older, wiser, but loneliness starts creeping in. His wife passes, his son dies, and by anchor year 50, two immortals descend from the heavens and wipe out everything he built. Li Fan barely escapes with his life, but the system chimes in calmly like, "Simulation ended. Please choose your reward." He stares at the blue hologram, expression flat. So, all that pain was just a test run? Imagine grinding 50 in-game years only to find out it was still the tutorial. The options flicker before him: keep an item, keep your cultivation, inherit someone's memory, or speed up future progress. Li Fan thinks for a second and goes, "Yeah, option 4. I've grinded enough side quests. Because who doesn't want faster loading screens in life?" Huanjin's progress pops up, 30% charged. That's basically his extra life battery. When he dies, it revives him automatically. Plot armor, but make it technical. Then he checks his stats. Name, Li Fan. Realm, mortal physical. Age, 20. Mental age, 1056. That's right. The man's 20 on the outside but mentally pushing senior citizen status. Still, he's got a plan. His goal for this run? Learn cultivation, the real thing. Because 50 years from now, those same two immortals who wrecked his kingdom will be back. And this time, he intends to send them home with souvenirs. But there's a catch: too many memories, too much strain. If his mind collapses, it's game over for good, the so-called erosion of time. Li Fan just smirks and says, "As long as I start cultivating, none of that will be a problem." He sets his sights on the ruinous abyss, a mysterious pit where those immortals once appeared. If he can study its energy, maybe he can reach their level. Meanwhile, life's too peaceful, he's surrounded by luxury, women, and wine. But instead of relaxing, he stares at the ceiling like, "Great! I've achieved everything again. Now what?" Imagine being so successful that even success gets boring. Then he remembers that fiery moment when the two immortals descended from the heavens. Their aura, their power, that impossible feeling of something beyond mortality. A grin spreads across his face. Power, real power. I want it. I want to cultivate. I want long life. No one can stop me. And just like that, our boy sets off toward a brand new path. From mortal politician to future cultivator. This isn't just a simulation anymore. It's the start of his war against heaven itself. From there, everything moves like clockwork. With 2 lifetimes of experience, he breezes through exams like it's easy mode. Provincial? White heavy checkmark metropolitan? White heavy checkmark palace exam? White heavy checkmark. Triple crown champion. My guy basically speedran the entire government system. But he's not here for fame. He's playing 4D chess. Building power, connections, and a secret army. Anchor year 1 to 5, smooth sailing. He gets his county job, earns everyone's respect, and starts promoting his old subordinates like he's drafting his dream team. Anchor year 9, he marries Princess Langia, the same royal from his last life. That night, let's just say, the royal bed saw action replayed. Anchor year 10, boom, a son is born. His bloodline secured again. Time skip anchor year 15. The emperor's dying, the kingdom's unstable, and Li Fan's like, perfect. Time for a little political makeover. With his loyal followers and secret plans, he seizes the perfect moment, turning chaos into control. Soon, the Grand Tutor returns, cloaked in power, feared by all. Even the emperor bows before him. Every move he makes reshapes the empire. Anchor year 35, his mansion's filled with kneeling ministers. His words now law. And from the shadows, Li Fan's eyes shift toward the east. The ruinous abyss, the fog clears every 15 years. He smiles, because this time, he's ready. This isn't just politics anymore. It's the beginning of his war against the unknown. After years of scheming, spying, and power plays, Li Fan's men finally report back, and bro, they found something insane. The fog around the ruinous abyss cleared, and what they saw? Not darkness, not a pit, but a freaking inverted world shining underneath. Mountains upside down, floating cities glowing in the mist. Literally heaven's DLC unlocked under their feet. The scouts say the place is full of life, towers, temples, and millions of people living down there. Oh, and let's not forget flying beasts, dragons, and phoenixes just chilling like it's a zoo on steroids. Li Fan hears all this, strokes his chin, and goes. So the immortals really did come from there. Translation: alright, new objective, invade heaven, but from the bottom up. Smirking face. He asks his spy if they managed to go deeper. But turns out, nope. They tried, and an invisible astral wind shredded everything like divine blender mode. Even their best armor couldn't last a second. Li Fan just smirks under the moonlight, standing on the roof like a boss while the city sleeps. The whole nation beneath him, glowing under the full moon. Seems I'll just have to wait for you too. Bro's literally planning revenge on immortals while sipping tea under moonlight. Talk about ambition. Fast forward anchor year 50. The great Xian nation stands proud, the empire he built, his power absolute. But above the clouds, the same fiery immortals return. Dao Xuanzi and Ko Hong, gods among men. Flames and aura clash in the sky. One of them roars. Don't push me too far, Dao Xuanzi. The heavens themselves tremble. Li Fan watches from below, cloak fluttering, eyes cold. He's not jumping in yet, oh no, he's studying every move like a gamer watching the boss cutscene. Suddenly, a flash of light cuts through the flames. A sneak attack, clean, precise, surgical. The fiery immortal stops mid-roar, spins around and yells. Who dares launch a sneak attack? The sky's burning, the immortals are raging, and suddenly... bang! From below, a rain of glowing bullets shoots up toward the heavens. Li Fan's soldiers have arrived armed with brand new metal weapons forged by mortal hands. The fiery mortal freezes mid-air, catching one of the bullets. What are these tiny metal pellets? He smirks, thinking it's some kind of toy. Until, boom! One explodes right in his hand. The soldiers keep firing, turning the night sky into a storm of bullets and explosions. Even the immortals look confused like, bro, did the mortals just discover DLC weapons, skull? The fire immortal regains his composure, his flaming aura bursting to life. Interesting, so the mortals actually learned to weaponize spirit energy through machines? But his arrogance returns instantly. Still, outside this land, your toys are just scrap metal. He twirls his staff, rage building. Mere mortals, daring to challenge cultivators? You're courting death. Fire Dao art, fire dragons roar. Fire. A massive dragon made of pure flame descends from the sky, roaring as it engulfs the entire city in a sea of fire. Buildings melt, soldiers scream, the heavens turn red. It's pure destruction. But then, something's wrong. Through the smoke, people are still standing. The soldiers, scorched but alive, keep their rifles raised. The fire immortal's eyes widen. What? My fire dragons roar, they survived? Even a god starts to sweat. For the first time ever, mortals fought back and lived. And down below, Li Fan just smiles coldly. Let's see how long your divine arrogance lasts against human innovation. Just when the immortals thought they had this war under control, boom. Chaos erupts again. Ko Hong and Dao Xuanzi are mid-battle when their expressions twist. Their hands start bleeding, something's wrong. Dao Xuanzi mutters coldly. These hidden weapons, soaked in mortal blood. That's right, Li Fan didn't just shoot bullets. He laced them with immortal miasma, a toxic energy that eats away at divine power itself. The immortals glance at each other, shocked. We were ambushed the moment we arrived. They planned this. And the fire immortal rages harder, flames spiraling around him. After being tainted by that miasma, your Dao arts are weakened. Dao Xuanzi narrows his eyes. This place is bizarre. We shouldn't stay long. But before they can retreat, a thunderous voice echoes across the city. Dao Xuanzi. Ko Hong. If you flee today, tomorrow the entire cultivation world will know your secret, the core formation method. That line hits like a divine nuke. Both immortals freeze. Ko Hong growls. How is that possible? Only the two of us knew about it. Bullets rain again, this time red and glowing like meteors. Who dares, he roars. Dao Xuanzi shouts. Not good. Ko Hong, dodge. But it's too late. Explosions rip through the night sky, swallowing the flames, the moon, and half the capital in blinding light. Down below, Li Fan watches from his tower, cloak fluttering. He smirks. Even gods bleed when struck by mortal will. The battle isn't divine anymore, it's personal. The battlefield burns red, the heavens cry blood. Dao Xuanzi and Ko Hong, once proud immortals, now kneel in a sea of fire and ash. Their robes torn, their bodies bleeding, the age of gods is collapsing right before their eyes. Mortals surround them, rifles aimed, flames reflecting in their eyes like vengeance reborn. A soldier shouts. Immortal masters. The Grand Tutor has given an order, surrender now, and your lives will be spared. The world falls silent for a moment, until Dao Xuanzi lifts his head, blood dripping from his lips. He laughs, low and broken. Surrender? That one word chills the air. Beside him, Ko Hong collapses, his fire fading into dying embers. Dao Xuanzi catches him, his hands trembling with fury and regret. Take my storage ring, go. The fire around his wrist flickers weakly, the once mighty dragon reduced to a spark. For centuries, they ruled the heavens, now they kneel before mortals with guns. As blood rains down and the flames devour the sky, the camera pans up. Li Fan stands atop the city walls, cloak fluttering in the storm of ash. The age of immortals ends today. The era of mortals begins, up, slow, echoing heartbeat fading into silence. The fire dragon roars one last time, golden flames twisting into the heavens, defiant till the end. Ko Hong, drenched in blood, holds onto the mystical Chiu dragon branch, the artifact that once made him untouchable. But now, the same light that blessed him starts to burn him alive. He achieved his Dao foundation with the Chiu dragon branch. The narration echoes coldly. But in the land of immortal extinction, surrounded by mortals and poisoned by the miasma, his cultivation collapsed. Collision, his body trembles. His aura shatters. Centuries of power gone in an instant. His lifespan fades like smoke in the wind. Dao Xuanzi kneels beside his fallen comrade. The once mighty fire god now looks human. Now, his body dies, and his Dao returns to the heavens. The light fades. The battlefield grows still. Then comes the voice of Li Fan's soldiers, echoing through the flames. Immortal Master Dao Xuanzi. Our Grand Tutor shows mercy. If you surrender, your life will be spared. Dao Xuanzi slowly lifts his head, eyes dim, yet burning with something deeper. A smirk creeps across his bloodied face. Surrender, he whispers, laughing bitterly. For him, death is nothing. But losing his Dao, that's a fate worse than hell. Cut to Li Fan, standing beneath a blood-red moon, watching the golden flames fade into ash. He breathes out quietly. Immortals, gods, even you bow to time. And in that silence, a new era begins. The battlefield still burns, ash in the air, mortals trembling, and one man standing between heaven and hell. Dao Xuanzi, drenched in blood, steps forward. His aura flickers wildly, fury and grief twisting together. I do not know who you are, nor your purpose. He growls, eyes glowing cold blue. But today, my brother and I were plotted against by mortals. One dead, one crippled, there is nothing more to say. His voice shakes the ground, even the soldiers flinch. But then he lowers his head, and that quiet tone hits harder than thunder. However, I cannot accept this. Collision, his spiritual energy explodes, mortals stagger back as crimson light wraps around him. You used mortal blood, mortal poison, and mortal miasma, how pathetic. Dao Xuanzi glares at them like a god betrayed. My brother died to people like you, and I think, for him, it was not worth it. Then he slowly rises off the ground, the wind howling. You've all seen my brother's mystical artifact. Lightning flashes. Now, allow me to show you mine. The soldiers shout in panic as a storm rages above. Dao Xuanzi raises his hand toward the heavens. With the wonders of heaven and earth, I built my Dao foundation. Its name is Dao Shilian. Collision, the sky splits open. A massive divine sword descends, its edge glowing with celestial power. I have a sword, he says coldly. I invite you all to witness it. Silence. Then, boom. The scene ends in a blinding flash, leaving only the echo of his words carved into the heavens. A flash of violet light tears through the sky. Dao Xuanzi's final attack splits reality itself. And then, silence. Simulation has ended. The scene fades, revealing a young man surrounded by glowing runes. Huanjin opens his eyes, breathing heavily. So this was a peak foundation establishment cultivator. He's just witnessed the full might of two immortals, and even through simulation, it nearly crushed his mind. Flashes of Dao Xuanzi and Ko Han's deaths replay around him like ghostly echoes. I didn't expect the immortal mortal miasma to destroy even their Tao foundations. He clenches his fists, eyes sharp. If it weren't for that poison, even if I reincarnated 100 times, I still couldn't match them. Thought balloon. He originally thought their brotherhood of 100 years was just dramatic immortal nonsense, but after seeing them die for each other, he realizes it was real. Cut to quick flashes, Kohong giving up his life, Dao Xuanzi's explosion, their souls scattering into light. Dao Xuanzi gave up his chance to live just to avenge his brother. Even blew himself up with that shockwave art. Huanjin's tone softens, almost respectful. Their friendship was beyond ordinary, and yet, their Dao still led them to death. He pauses, thinking deeply. The golden core Dao, a path one walks alone. Mortal methods cannot be cultivated together. A faint smirk crosses his face, half awe, half fear. If this is what it's like for two brothers that close. He looks up, lightning reflecting in his eyes. Then what kind of monsters must roam the cultivation world outside? The camera zooms out, his simulation chamber fades into darkness. Only his voice remains. The age of gods may be gone, but I'll surpass them with mortal hands. Collision end on the glowing words, next, the mortal who defies heaven. Anchor year 35, the edge of the ruinous abyss. The world is quiet, but every gust of wind feels like it carries the whispers of fallen gods. Li Fan stands before the endless pit, eyes sharp, determination unshaken. No matter how dangerous the path ahead is, he mutters. I won't waver. As long as I'm careful, no fate can stop me. His projection screen flickers beside him. Name, Li Fan. Realm, mortal. Mental age, 216/1080. Progress, 30%. He clenches his fist. Last time I attacked both of them at once, this time, I'll take them one by one. Cyclone. The mist below begins to churn. From the experience of his last simulation, he knows the abyss fog clears once every 15 years. And today, it's happening again. The ground trembles. A windstorm tears through the cliffs, white fog shooting upward like a reverse waterfall. For a moment, even the heavens seem to breathe. Li Fan grips his telescope, the same one used by the ancient scouts centuries ago. This is it. The bottom of the abyss, the truth of the immortal age. He peers in, his eyes widen. At first, he sees only ruin, broken temples, shattered cities, but then, faint red letters etch themselves across the stone walls. The immortal Tao is dead. A chill runs down his spine. The immortal Tao is dead? What happened here? Behind him, clouds swirl, and thunder rolls across the sky like laughter from the heavens. He tightens his grip on the telescope. What in the world happened to the entire cultivation realm? Shending City, year 50, the skies tremble, and two immortal brothers face off above the mortal world. Kohong clenches his fist, aura flaring. Dao Xuanzi. Don't you push me too far. The man he once called brother now floats above him, calm, unreadable, and terrifyingly powerful. Below them, an army of mortals raises their weapons, golden light gathering like divine spears. Kohong, you brat. We've been waiting for you. On the orders of immortal master Dao Xuanzi. Collision boom. Golden miasma bursts from the ground, swirling around Kohong. His eyes widen, the energy feels wrong, tainted. Wait. Immortal mortal miasma? His body convulses, spiritual veins burning from the inside out. How can this be? Did Dao Xuanzi know I'd come here? The betrayal hits harder than any strike. From above, Dao Xuanzi's calm face finally twists in confusion. What's going on with these mortals? Why are they using my name, and the miasma? Then it clicks, something far darker is at play. But Kohong's fury drowns everything. He roars, golden light exploding from his core. Dao Xuanzi. You are despicable. Their clash tears open the clouds, energy waves ripping through Xianding City like a storm of judgment. Buildings collapse, mortals scatter, the sky splits apart. And as the chaos peaks, one thought echoes through Dao Xuanzi's mind. Something's wrong, this isn't my doing. These mortals, they're being used. Meanwhile, on the ground, a mortal soldier smirks. Immortal Master Dao Xuanzi said to eliminate Kohong once he's weak. Bro, even heaven has fake news now. The storm over Xianding City rages on, but the real storm is between two immortals. Dao Xuanzi descends from the clouds like divine judgment itself, his aura shaking the earth. Kohong, blazing in fury, screams across the battlefield. Dao Xuanzi. Don't you push me too far. Dao Xuanzi's robes ripple as he glares down coldly. Push you? You stole the core formation method and led my people to ruin. And you still dare to speak of honor? Kohan's veins bulge, half rage, half disbelief. And you still say it wasn't you? Who else in this world knows of that method besides us? The sky splits apart as their spiritual energies collide, purple Dao force twisting through golden flames. Even the mortals can feel it, this isn't a duel anymore. This is divine judgment. Dao Xuanzi raises his hand, hundreds of runes flash to life, spinning into a vortex. You should know, Kohong, your immortal miasma has already angered the heavens. Kohong bites back a laugh through clenched teeth. Then what, brother? You'll silence me in the name of justice? He fires back, summoning fire so intense it warps the air. We've known each other for 100 years, Dao Xuanzi. I didn't think you'd stoop to such despicable tricks. Dao Xuanzi's expression falters, his eyes flicker. He's not sure anymore if Kohong's words are lies, or if someone else has been pulling the strings. Still, he can't afford to hesitate. His hands move, seals form, the ground cracks beneath his feet. Kohong snarls. If you want the core formation method so badly, then come take it from my corpse. Fire and lightning collide, the explosion blinding. Both immortals vanish into the light. The clash of flame and spirit energy tears the clouds apart. Mortals can't even open their eyes, the air itself screams. Below, terrified soldiers whisper. This Dao Xuanzi, if he wins, we'll all be doomed. Kohong laughs like a madman, eyes glowing gold. As the saying goes, those who commit too many sins are doomed to self-destruction. He pours everything into one last attack, the flame dragon dives again, roaring like it wants to devour heaven itself. Dao Xuanzi's eyes widen. You idiot! He swings his sword, purple energy collides with golden fire, creating a beam of pure annihilation. The shockwave wipes out everything in its path, temples crumble, mountains shake, even the sky distorts. Kohong laughs like a man possessed, his aura flaring gold. Oh really, Dao Xuanzi? You think you're clever? Then why are you standing there all alone, huh? I've got a brand new Dao art perfect for sending you to the afterlife. Dao art, prison dragon. A cage of molten flame bursts out, spiraling like living chains, trying to crush Dao Xuanzi from every direction. The ground below melts. Even the clouds above start burning. Dao Xuanzi's expression darkens, eyes glowing purple like thunder god's wrath. Break. For me. He swings his sword down, the purple Dao energy slashes through reality itself, slicing the fiery prison clean in half. The shockwave sends Kohong flying backward. But the madman just laughs through the smoke. Nice swing. But it's my turn again. He slams his palms together, flames crawling up his arms. Dao art, dragon transformation. His entire body morphs into a massive golden dragon, wings of fire spreading across the sky. The temperature spikes so high that the city below looks like it's melting. Dao Xuanzi clenches his jaw, aura surging. Dao Xian. He lifts his sword, calling down violet lightning from the heavens, each bolt heavy enough to split mountains. Kohong, half-dragon now, smirks through the flames. Let's see what's stronger, your Dao sword, or my flame dragon staff. Boom! The two forces collide midair, purple lightning tearing through golden flame, the explosion blinding even the immortals watching from afar. And in that moment, it's not a battle anymore. It's pure chaos, fueled by betrayal, grief, and pride too heavy for the heavens to bear. The clash reaches its tragic peak, two immortals, bound by fate, now tearing apart the heavens themselves. Flames erupt like volcanoes as Kohong roars, his last ounce of power igniting his body. Immortal Master Dao Xuanzi. Don't think you can silence me forever. Suddenly, boom! A surge of fire descends from the sky. Immortal Master Kohong will lend you a hand. Mortals join the fray, their arrows burning with borrowed divine energy. But they have no idea what they've unleashed. Dao Xuanzi's eyes widen in horror. Damn it! Chiu Dragon Branch. Too late. The sky explodes in crimson light. Kohong's body twists, his veins glowing molten red as he's consumed from the inside out. Skull Dao art backlash. Blood sprays like shattered glass. His heart bursts with Dao energy gone berserk. Dao Xuanzi screams. But it's drowned out by the thunder as Kohong's form collapses into a sea of red, spiraling upward in one final blaze. A narrator's voice cuts in. Foundation establishment cultivators fear only one thing when the Tao itself rejects their existence. From the heavens, a single radiant sword descends, piercing through the chaos. And everything turns white. Silence. Kohan's body fades away, leaving only light. Now, his body dies and his Tao vanishes, returning to the heavens. Dao Xuanzi stands there, surrounded by falling embers. The man he once called brother is gone, nothing left but ashes and guilt. Then, from the shadows, a new voice echoes. Dao Xuanzi. A mortal steps forward, old, frail, but fearless. This old man, Li Fan, greets the immortal master. I beg you, spare my clan. Over 1,000 lives depend on your mercy. Dao Xuanzi's aura flares, the world trembles. A mere mortal dares interfere in the battle of immortals? But Li Fan doesn't flinch. His voice is calm, eyes heavy with grief. I only sought survival. If you had fallen, my clan would already be dead. What choice did we have but to choose a side? Dao Xuanzi stares in silence, lightning crackling behind his eyes. He can't tell anymore who's truly guilty. Dao Xuanzi looks down, his hands clenched behind his back. For 100 years, I've kept my word. But I didn't expect a mortal to go this far, to interfere in divine matters. Li Fan doesn't back down. The land of immortal extinction is chaos itself. Even immortals can barely survive here. You think we mortals could make it out on our own? Dao Xuanzi narrows his gaze. You don't know a way to escape this place, do you? Li Fan smirks faintly. Correct. Scene shift: underground shelter, dimly lit by flickering lamps. Inside the cold underground chamber, the tension is thick enough to slice with a sword. Li Fan and Dao Xuanzi sit across the table, one mortal, one immortal, both carrying centuries of exhaustion. Dao Xuanzi sighs. You're already an old man with one foot in the grave. Why are you still obsessed with leaving this place? Isn't it nice being the local emperor here? Li Fan's hand trembles as he grips his staff. If my descendants remain trapped here, what meaning does my survival have? Dao Xuanzi chuckles, the sound low and condescending. Ha! Don't waste your breath. This realm's soaked in immortal miasma. Even if you mortals tried to cultivate, your spirits would rot before you reached enlightenment. He leans forward, eyes sharp. Mortals and immortals are forever separate. That's the law of this world. Li Fan's gaze hardens. So, there's truly no way? Dao Xuanzi. If you mortals want to cultivate, you'd have to wash away that miasma. But the outside world would kill you long before that happened. Li Fan lowers his head, the silence dragging like a funeral bell. Then how can I, a mortal, ever trust the words of one who calls himself immortal? Dao Xuanzi freezes, his smile fades. Li Fan stands, robes trembling. You speak of eternal separation, but it was your kind who brought ruin upon ours. The heavens cast us down, yet you dare call it divine order? Dao Xuanzi's patience cracks. You dare question the Tao? The old man turns toward the exit. If the immortal master has no further instructions, this old man will take his leave. Dao Xuanzi's eyes flash with killing intent. Leaving already? I don't recall dismissing you. Suddenly, a wave of crimson mist bursts out from beneath his feet. Li Fan gasps. This aura. Immortal mortal miasma. You. Before he can finish, the miasma engulfs him. His body contorts, blood vessels glowing like molten veins as he screams. Dao Xuanzi watches coldly, staff in hand. Since immortals and mortals cannot coexist, then how could I, an immortal, ever let you live after hearing those words? The cave shakes. The light fades. Li Fan's scream echoes into silence. The scene opens in eerie silence. A shadowed figure surrounded by violet energy stands beneath a dark, cracking sky. Narration begins, cold and heavy. According to Kohan, this land is known as the land of immortal extinction. Its roots stretch back thousands of years, to a great change that shattered the ancient cultivation world. Back then, mortals and cultivators lived under the same sky. The strong ruled, the weak preyed, and life followed its eternal rhythm. But when a strange illness began spreading among mortals, no cultivator cared. After all, mortals died every day. What's one more plague to those who call themselves gods? At first, it was nothing. Then came the first cultivator to fall. His spiritual energy twisted into something dark and violent, and in that moment, the plague evolved. The very energy cultivators relied on became the plague's weapon, the narration continues. Through the chi of heaven and earth, the sickness spread faster than wildfire. Temples collapsed, sects vanished, and fear swept through every realm. Those infected found their cultivation collapsing overnight. At best, they regressed in power. At worst, they lost their Tao entirely, their body withering, their soul erased, their essence scattered back into the heavens. The immortals' pride turned to panic. And in their desperation, they pointed their swords downward. In their despair, the cultivators vented their fury on mortals. They called it purification, but it was slaughter. Flames rise. The purple haze consumes entire villages. Mortals scream and flee as the skies rain fire. The cultivators show no mercy. But the massacre failed. The campaign of slaughter was forcibly halted, and yet, the plague did not fade. It spread further, freed from all restraint, carried by the same spiritual energy that once sustained the heavens. The world fell into ruin. More cultivators died. Heaven itself began to rot. Yet even as death spread, not everyone surrendered. Waiting for death was not the cultivator's way, the voice explains. Some turned to research, seeking a cure to resist the plague. The scene shifts, a calm woman in flowing blue robes sits cross-legged, her aura burning with determination. While others began the infamous Great Migration plan. If they could not cleanse the world, they would abandon it, leaving mortals behind in the land that would one day be called the land of immortal extinction. As thunder cracked through the heavens, the cultivators gathered above the clouds, cold and emotionless. The decision had been made. They would banish all mortals, the narrator says, sending them to broken worlds and shattered heavens, places completely devoid of spiritual energy. Below, mortals stood in long lines, faces pale under flashes of lightning. The ships that would carry them away loomed like coffins against the storm. And from the skies, the cultivators watched, silent, as they sealed their fate with one final formation. The seals glowed. The portals closed. The mortals were gone, cut off from the cultivation world forever. Then, the narration continues, they used formations to seal these realms completely, ensuring the mortals would never return. A clean break. Or so they thought. Years passed. The cultivation world, now free of mortals, was calm again. But calm never lasts. Not all offspring born from cultivators possess the aptitude to cultivate, the voice explains. Soon, mortals began to appear again, children born without spiritual roots, unable to channel chi. And within their fragile bodies, lingered a trace of that ancient plague. Within these mortals, the narrator says, there remained a shadow of the old curse. Generations later, that shadow would awaken once more. The plague was especially deadly to cultivators, the narration deepens. If mortal descendants wanted to cultivate, they first had to cleanse their bodies of the miasma. One cultivator is shown sitting cross-legged, wrapped in waves of violet energy, sweat dripping from his face. Immortal mark, mortal mark, he mutters through clenched teeth. His energy rages like a storm as he fights to suppress the corruption inside him. But few ever succeeded. Over time, that plague became the very boundary that split two kinds of beings apart, the immortals and the mortals. Thus, it gained a name feared across all realms, the immortal mortal miasma. A page turns in an old book. For cultivators, this place, the border between immortals and mortals, became known as a forbidden land. The camera pans down to show Dao Xuanzi reading the record, eyes wide. Over time, it was called the land of immortal extinction. He lowers the scroll, realization flashing across his face. There's no telling how many such lands exist, he murmurs, nor how many cultivators ever dare to enter them. For me to have stumbled upon two already, is fortune beyond measure. But beneath that calm tone is something else, fear. Dao Xuanzi looks into the distance, remembering everything, the chaos, the screams, the collapse of heaven itself. His voice turns grim. As a mortal, my lifespan is limited. Even if I can simulate endless reincarnations, it's still just repetition trapped within this mortal frame. The image flashes, past lives, wars, betrayals, all playing like shards of a broken mirror. He clenches his hand. I am already 70 this year. My limit is 86. In these 16 years, the chance of meeting another cultivator is practically zero. And yet, here I stand, in a land where immortals once perished. The lightning fades outside. The heavens may have abandoned this place, but I haven't. His thoughts echoed louder than thunder. Could it be, he murmured, that I can only repeat the life of a mortal, one after another? After 300 years of waiting, am I really meant to stay trapped like this? His eyes flared with defiance. No. I refuse to accept it. Somewhere, buried beneath this cursed land, he hoped to find an answer. A loophole. A way back. That's when he found him. Chained to the ground, covered in wounds that refused to heal, sat a man who looked more beast than human. His muscles strained against the metal cuffs, his glare sharp enough to cut steel. The prisoner smirked through the blood on his lips. What, you still haven't given up? You're 70 years old. You really think you can still cultivate? Dao Xuanzi didn't flinch. Now that your cultivation is gone, he asked coldly, even if you could return to the cultivation world, could you still cultivate? The prisoner froze. What? Dao Xuanzi leaned closer, his tone calm but heavy with meaning. If you can help me find a way back, perhaps I'll take you with me. The man laughed bitterly. You treacherous old fox. Still trying to trick me? Dao Xuanzi didn't deny it. He simply said, whether it's truth or a lie, it's still hope. Are you really going to die here, waiting for nothing? The words cut deeper than any sword. The prisoner fell silent. Sometimes, hope is the cruelest chain of all. Finally, the man spoke, voice low but steady. If I'm not mistaken, he said, back during the Great Migration, they used flying tools, like spirit boats or shuttles, to send mortals away. Dao Xuanzi's eyes narrowed, a faint spark lighting up in the darkness. A way out, perhaps not lost after all. The screen fades in with a faint hum of energy. In ancient times, the cultivation world was a land of brilliance. Sects thrived, disciples filled the mountains, and transport-type magic tools soared freely across the skies. It was a golden era where even the wind carried spiritual energy. Dao Xuanzi listens, his gaze distant. The chained man continues, voice rough but steady. A pity that all of it ended with the great change of heaven and earth. After that, cultivators grew fearful. No one trusted another. The grand flying boats and shuttles were abandoned, symbols of unity turned to relics of arrogance. Dao Xuanzi frowns, the great change, are you referring to the Great Plague? The man nods slowly. Yes. But not just the plague, it was something far deeper. The immortal miasma itself was strange, but it wasn't strong enough to destroy heaven and earth. The reason it spread so wildly was because the cultivators themselves had already fallen into ruin. Dao Xuanzi's eyes widen. A calamity that wiped out the cultivators of heaven and earth? Yes, the man says. The majority fell during that time. The great sects collapsed overnight. And when their power vanished, the miasma filled the void. The scene flashes to countless cultivators collapsing mid-flight, their golden cores shattering like glass. Dao Xuanzi mutters, half to himself. A great calamity. Could it be that immortal methods cannot coexist? The chained man's voice cuts through the silence. Correct. Immortal methods cannot be cultivated together. Dao Xuanzi stiffens. The truth hits harder than a heavenly tribulation. In ancient times, cultivators practiced freely, learning from any sect they desired. Doors were open, knowledge was shared, and disciples sparred as brothers. Back then, the narration continues, they cultivated side by side, shared wisdom, and built each other up. The cultivation world was vibrant, united, a true paradise of progress. Until one day, the efficiency of cultivators' cultivation plummeted. At first, no one understood why. But soon, something strange began happening. While meditating, cultivators could feel others in their hearts, the number of people using the same cultivation method. 9 Yang Armor Scripture, current number of cultivators, 968. The disciples' eyes widened in shock. 968? Then it hit them, the more people who cultivated the same method, the weaker everyone became. It was as if the heavens decided, only one person could truly walk a Dao at a time. What started as confusion turned into madness. Countless cultivators could no longer advance. Their chi stagnated, their cores cracked, and with every failed attempt to break through, frustration turned into killing intent. When lifespans neared their end, they could no longer suppress the rage in their hearts. And then, the bloodshed began. Masters and disciples, martial brothers and sisters, all turned into mortal enemies overnight. A great calamity engulfed the cultivation world. Mountains burned, sects collapsed, and the heavens turned red. Even those who fled into deep mountains or secret realms weren't spared. Because now, cultivators practicing the same method could sense each other's locations. There was no hiding. No mercy. Only endless killing. The chained man glares up at Dao Xuanzi, fury in his eyes. So tell me, he says, his voice trembling, since immortal methods cannot be cultivated together, how do the cultivators of today survive? Dao Xuanzi remains silent, his expression unreadable. The prisoner lets out a bitter laugh. In today's cultivation world, if one still wishes to cultivate, there are only a few paths left. One option, he explains, is to join the 10,000 Immortals Alliance, a loose coalition formed by countless cultivators. Inside the alliance, everything runs on contribution points. Complete missions, trade with others, or risk your life for merit, all for one thing: cultivation methods and resources. The cycle of power and currency never stops. But for those with ambition, the prisoner continues, there's another path. The Five Elders Association, an organization created by 5 peak-level figures whose power rivals the heavens themselves. In a world where immortal methods cannot coexist, only those 5 can decide what's allowed to exist at all. The flames from the forge flicker on Dao Xuanzi's face, his eyes narrowing as if piecing together the entire tragedy. The narration begins. In today's cultivation world, anyone with the aptitude for cultivation can freely join one of the major forces and choose a method to practice. But there's a catch. The price is your soul. To join, every cultivator must sign a soul contract, pledging to serve the 5 Elders Association for a set period of time. It's not slavery, but it's definitely not freedom either. Dao Xuanzi narrows his eyes. So anyone can cultivate freely now? The chained man laughs bitterly. Freely? That's a good joke. He lifts his blood-stained hands. The methods they hand out are all incomplete fragments patched together by the major sects over centuries. You can reach the peak of chi refining, sure, but that's it. Beyond that? Impossible. Images flash rapidly, cultivators surrounded by glowing energy. Peak chi refining, purple cloud art, chi refining fragment. Peak foundation establishment, 9 revolutions great burning art, foundation fragment. Peak golden core, sun art, golden core fragment. Each one radiates brilliance, but they're all missing something, the final piece that leads to true immortality. The chained man continues. If you want to go further, to form your Dao foundation, you have to throw away your old method and start over from scratch with a higher level fragment. Dao Xuanzi frowns deeply. Switch methods every time you advance. Then all the previous effort becomes useless. The man shakes his head. Not entirely. That's where the Supreme Primal True Scripture comes in. Supreme Primal True Scripture, fragment. This scripture isn't exactly a cultivation method, he explains. It's more like a loophole. It allows a cultivator to disperse their realm, destroying their cultivation without suffering massive backlash. That way, they can start a new method and quickly climb back to their former level. After dispersing their cultivation, the man says, they can easily switch to another method and catch up to their original realm in no time. Dao Xuanzi looks astonished. Such a miraculous art actually exists? But his gaze hardens. Still, the timing of its appearance feels far too convenient. He pieces it together in silence. Only through such a scripture could cultivators be forced to accept constant change, always switching methods, always starting over. The chained man sighs, voice low and heavy. It was because it was a true art, one that could lead directly to the nascent soul realm. The moment those words leave his mouth, his eyes widen slightly. Nascent soul. True art, he repeats, the realization hitting him like thunder. That kind of cultivation method wasn't just rare, it was forbidden. Only a handful in history had ever reached the nascent soul realm, the stage where one's spirit could separate from the body, defying death itself. The chained man, Ko Hong, shifts slightly, the sound of metal echoing through the room. Ko Hong takes a deep breath. I once heard a rumor, he says, his tone low, that over the course of thousands of years, mortals trapped in the land of immortal extinction have managed to return to the cultivation world in secret. Dao Xuanzi's brows furrow. A rumor? Ko Hong nods. Most believe it's baseless gossip. There's no proof. But Dao Xuanzi interrupts him sharply. There's no smoke without fire. Sometimes, rumors are the truth that no one dares to speak. His eyes gleam with determination. As long as there's even a sliver of hope, I will not give up. For a man who has lived through countless cycles of life and death, even the faintest hope is enough to keep fighting. Ko Hong lets out a dry laugh, half admiration, half disbelief. I really don't know how an old man on the verge of death like you still has this much energy. Dao Xuanzi simply smiles, his expression calm but resolute. As long as you help me find the way back to the cultivation world, I will not only set you free, I'll bring you with me. Kohong looks up, eyes narrowing. Dao Xuanzi continues. And not just that. I'll return everything you lost, and everything Dao Xuanzi once had. He leans forward slightly, voice dropping to a deadly calm whisper. Including that nascent soul true art. The room goes silent. The fire flickers. Then Kohong's eyes go wide. Are you serious? You'd really hand that over? Dao Xuanzi meets his gaze without hesitation. Of course. The chains rattle as Kohong suddenly straightens, his bloodshot eyes blazing with life for the first time in years. Good. In that case, I'll do everything in my power to help you. For a man who's been rotting in despair, Dao Xuanzi's offer isn't just tempting, it's salvation. The camera lingers on Dao Xuanzi's calm expression, half-shadowed by the firelight. His thoughts are clear, every deal, every promise, every risk, is a step closer to freedom. With Kohong's help, Dao Xuanzi began an obsession that consumed every breath he had left. He gathered every historical record, every ancient scroll, and every half-burned piece of parchment that spoke of the old world. His goal? To uncover the truth behind the mysterious Great Migration era. That one lost age that seemed to hold the key to returning to the cultivation world. You could say the man turned into a scholar, historian, and archaeologist all at once. If Google existed in his time, the man would have broken the search limit in a day. He didn't stop there. Using his power, Dao Xuanzi mobilized entire armies to dig up tombs from forgotten dynasties. Graves, ruins, temples, nothing was sacred anymore. If it was ancient, he wanted it unearthed. And of course, that didn't sit well with everyone. Officials lined up daily, begging him to stop desecrating history. But Dao Xuanzi didn't care. When a man's chasing immortality, public opinion isn't exactly his biggest concern. Still, you gotta respect the dedication. Dude basically started the world's first large-scale archaeological project, just because he was dying. But even after all that, nothing. Years passed, and the Great Migration remained nothing more than a whisper in the dust. The narration turns somber. Too much time had passed, he reflects. And the lifespan I had left was far too short. 16 long years went by. Now, deep underground, the same old man, weaker, slower, his once commanding aura fading, walked through the cold stone halls of his secret chamber. My lifespan limit is approaching, he mutters. Yet I still have nothing. His body trembles. This body, so frail, like a candle in the wind. It could be extinguished at any moment. But even at death's door, Dao Xuanzi's mind remains sharp. He raises his wrinkled hand, blue energy swirling faintly around his ring. Before this life ends, I must confirm the items stored within this ring. The air hums as a scroll materializes, wrapped in ancient jade and golden thread. The old man's breath catches the thousand mechanisms Jade Cosmos Golden Chapter. The nascent soul realm cultivation method itself. A text that could elevate mortals to godlike beings. And yet, the scroll's system inscription read coldly. Current number of cultivators, 0. Dao Xuanzi looks up at it. Nascent soul realm, how ironic, he says quietly. What a pity I am still a mortal, without even divine sense. He lets out a weary sigh. Sitting on a mountain of treasure, but unable to enjoy it. The man had literally found the key to eternity, and didn't have the strength left to turn the lock. In the quiet of his underground chamber, Dao Xuanzi stands before two ancient relics, a rusted sword and a faintly glowing cube. Both artifacts hum with the last traces of spiritual energy, like dying embers in a cold hearth. He mutters under his breath, rusted sword Dao Xian. According to Kohong, after a cultivator dies, their foundation establishment artifacts lose their mystical power along with their Dao. His voice trails off, gaze fixed on the blade. It's old, chipped, barely holding together. A weapon that once cut through gods now looks like something pulled out of a scrapyard. And yet, the faint blue light surrounding it hasn't disappeared. Dao Xuanzi's tired eyes narrow, and for the first time in years, there's a spark of curiosity. Strange, after all these centuries, it still retains some spiritual essence. He steps closer, his hand trembling as he extends it toward the sword. Suddenly, a pulse of light flashes, the entire chamber shakes. Dao Xuanzi's eyes widen, his face half-lit by the blue glow. What is this? The sword hums softly, as if answering him. Then, a transparent message appears mid-air. Rechargeable item discovered, rusted sword Dao Xian, damaged. Proceed with charging? Dao Xuanzi